back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys, so I'm here today to review two short story collections that I absolutely loved and I would hugely recommend to all of you. So let's get started. These are the two short story collections I'm going to tell you about. They are An Unrested Woman, which is by Shoba Real, and The Paper Menagerie, which is by Ken Liu. And they're both very different in tone and style, but they're both magnificent and I really like them both. So I'm going to start with this one. I picked this one up on a recommendation from Mercedes. She told me about it. I don't think she's actually read it, but she told me about it and she said that it sounded really good, and I thought, yes, it does. She described it as lots of different stories that were interconnected, and actually what it is couplets of stories. So you have, I think, about 8 or 10 stories within this, and then out of them they're always linked to one other. So there's like 5 stories that link with other 5 stories in the book, and they go back to back. So the first story will link with the second, the third will link with the fourth, and so on. And it's really interesting to see that. Now the links are often quite small, maybe there'll be a crossover character, maybe they'll be set in the same place, something like that, and they don't always really matter, but it's a really interesting concept to do. And this is a story, or a collection of short stories, that all focus on India and Pakistan, which is somewhere that I really didn't know anything about, to be honest, when I started reading this, and I now feel like I know a bit more, and I also want to learn a lot more because there's still a lot I don't know about and a lot that I really was interested to learn about after reading this. I thought it was just fantastic. So what I loved about this is that it doesn't shy away from same-sex couples, it doesn't shy away from the violence done on women, but it also doesn't shy away from powerful women and women who overcome a lot of horrible things in their society. Now this does focus predominantly on women, as you can probably guess from the title, which is An Unrestored Woman. Unrestored in Shoba Reo's eyes kind of means like a displaced woman who has been chucked out of her family and then maybe brought back after something horrible has happened to her, something like that. And I just thought it was a really fantastic concept for a collection of short stories because it gives you these little snippets into these people's lives. They feel very genuine, they feel like they could easily be based off of real people. And they also just felt very lyrical and beautiful at times. I think some of the ways she wrote sentences was really lovely. I wouldn't say it's the most lyrical thing I've ever read, but I do think it was beautiful overall, and I think really what hit me the hardest was the power and the passion of these women who are going through horrible things, are dealing with lots of emotions, are having to kind of overcome difficulties, and yet they are strong and they are powerful and they stand up on their feet and they know how to defend themselves and the people around them that they care about. And I really admired that because I could see that as real women, real stories, and I just loved it. It wasn't a non-fiction book, so they are not real women, but they could easily be based on and based in reality, and especially on the reality of this time period that she focuses on. I just think it was fantastic overall. Hugely recommended. Definitely check this one out if you have any interest in India, Pakistan and women there, or if you have any interest in a really good short story collection, because it is definitely that. And besides that, I mean, the cover is stunning. Look at it, so colourful all the way around, absolutely beautiful. I just really enjoyed it. So do definitely pick this one up and give it a go if you are looking for a new short story collection. I ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5 stars because it was just fabulous. The next one I have to talk to you guys about is The Paper Menagerie, which is by Ken Liu. Now, I went to an event where Head of Zeus, the publisher of this book, were putting on an event with Ken Liu to come and talk about his books because he's got The Grace of Kings and I think it's The Wall of Storms, which is the second one, just came out, and he also has done translated fiction. He very famously translated The Three Body Problem, as you guys may know, by Cixin Liu. I read that a year or so ago now. Really enjoyable first book in the series. And he also writes a lot of short fiction. Now this is a collection of his short fiction and it's fabulous. Every story in here was so seriously good and they're all really different. I think the one thing I say most I took away from Ken Liu's work is that he knows his stuff. He is an intelligent man and he does a lot of research with friends of his and people that he knows about what would really work and what really feels genuine and realistic enough to convince the reader that this could happen. all of his science, because these are a range of fantasy and science stories, are just fantastic. It's convincing, it's genuine, it feels exciting. I think there are some beautiful ones within this. There's also a really, really hard-hitting, very emotional, quite dark story at the end. There's an emotional story in the middle, which was the paper menagerie, and I think that one was my favourite overall because it's beautiful and it's heart-wrenching and it's lovely, and it's about this young boy and his mother who make these paper origami figures, much like this lovely tiger on the front, and they come to life, and I think that was a beautiful story. And then also the final story in this is, it's just heart-wrenching, it's horrible. It's about concentration type camps that were in Japan, and it was horrible. It was so horrible to read, and I then went on to watch other documentaries about this time period and the things that happened, because I'd never heard of it before. So it was fascinating and cruel and nasty and eye-opening and beautiful, but all the other stories were just fabulous too. Like, I can't really fault any of the stories in here. I think all of them had merit and all of them were exciting and all of them were good and they had great characters, and he can write. He can really, really write. So I would hugely recommend this one too, particularly as, again, it's got a beautiful cover and an orange spine, which is always cool. So definitely let me know your thoughts if you've read this one or if you've read the other one I just showed you. I gave this one as well 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was just so good and I really, really enjoyed it. So I've had a good short stories kind of month. I'm hoping that some of the other collections I pick up in the future will live up to these. But yeah, if either of these authors brought out another collection anytime soon, I would read it because they were both just really, really good. So do let me know your thoughts if you've read either of these or if you're going to go and pick them up. If you have any other recommendations for me of short story collections you might think I would like, I would love to hear them down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video very, very soon. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.